Hey YouTube, Common Collector here, and today we're going to be having the first of discussion videos here on the channel. So I've been wanting to do this for quite a while now. Big fan of Paul from Team APS when he does his discussion videos. This is sort of like a 10-minute take, 10-minute hot takes on sort of like Yu-Gi-Oh cards, what Konami's doing, how they're printing, like archetypes and stuff like that, game mechanics, all that kind of stuff is always relevant. So if you guys have any ideas for more discussion videos like this, let me know down in the comment section. I'd be really interested to know, and I'd just be interested to know what you guys think about all of this stuff. So anyways, the topic for today's discussion: should Konami have errated the Egyptian god cards? So there's a lot of different layers to this, and I don't really know exactly how to start. This is very unscripted and just sort of going with the flow. So that's just sort of how this will all work out. Almost like podcast format, so you guys can just sort of listen. If you guys are on your way to work, that's how I usually listen to these kind of discussion videos. So, but overall, just sort of looking for insight on what you guys think on this. So, so the Egyptian god cards, they were released way back in 2010 was when Obelisk, I believe, was released. And then later in 2012, Ra was released, and then even later that year in 2012, Slifer was finally released, which it feels crazy that it was just that recently. 10 years ago doesn't sound that recently for those two, but still, these cards, I feel like a lot of people think these cards have been around for a lot longer because there was always the fake versions of these cards and stuff that were always released and all that. But the first actual printings that we were able to legally use for tournament play for Obelisk was 2010, and then later 2012 for the other two. So then these cards on release, they just didn't do anything. Obelisk was the one who saw for sure the most amount of play. Obelisk was able to not be targeted by card effects, which again, for some reason, the other two cards just did not have these effects. Again, reasons why I think that these cards could have been errated down the line, but I think that Konami has missed their timing on that, and we'll get to that maybe a little bit later. But overall, yeah, Obelisk can't be targeted by card effects. They all have the protection that when they're summoned, they can't be responded to. And they can't be destroyed. Sorry, I got my files sitting up here. I'll have the cards on the screen, obviously. So this card's normal summon cannot be negated, and when normal summoned, cards and card effects cannot be activated in response. So that's nice, good protection there. And then Obelisk has the added benefit of not being targeted. This was really beneficial back in the years when it came out, like around between like 2010 and like I think 2015-ish. That era was when it saw the most play because there were just in general a lot of card effects that did target, and we had stuff like Regeki and all those cards banned, which nowadays they're not banned, but still. Not being able to be targeted was a really, really big, huge protection for this card. There's just a lot of different anime effects and stuff that overall got just lost between these cards. Stuff like how they're not affected by spell cards or trap cards, and there's a little bit of ambiguity between all of that. There's definitely instances where spell cards and stuff do affect those. There's the part where Merrick uses defusion to defuse himself from Ra, and then he gains all of his life points back, which they did later add in that mechanic with one of the new Ra support cards, which was, trying to find it here, the Blaze Cannons. Or my bad, this is actually the one with the Sun God. So with this card, trap card, if you control a monster whose name is Winged Dragon of Ra, activate this card and then pay life points until you have 100 left. The original effect in the anime was always that you pay so you have 1 life point left, but it's still probably fine that they just did it. It'd be really weird with like life point calculators and stuff if they did change it so that you had 1 life point left, and it's just you'd have just such a nightmare with trying to calculate all your life points. You'd have all of these like 999s and all this, or actually your opponent would end up going down to if they had 8,000 life points and you attacked with 7,999 because you had full life points, then they're going to have 1 life point, and so will you. It's just kind of weird. But yeah, then during the end phase of the turn, you can, once per turn, you can tribute the Winged Dragon of Ra to gain life points equal to its attack on the field. So if you are going to lose, you're able to then go ahead and tribute off that Winged Dragon of Ra and gain all your life points back. So why is all this stuff relevant? It's relevant to me because I feel like these are all ways Konami has been releasing all of these cards in order to sort of revamp all of these anime effects and make it feel like you are playing with these anime effects. The argument that they probably would have made back in the day was that they just simply didn't have enough tech space to put all this stuff on there. And then like 6 years later, they made Pendulum, not even 6 years later, they made Pendulum Monsters, which Pendulum Monsters just have a huge mass amount of text on them. I was actually looking at Blaze Cannon before this, and Blaze Cannon probably has like twice as much card text on it than the Winged Dragon of Ra does, which is just kind of funny. So it's like they couldn't fit it all on there, and then they went ahead and just put it all on, or they put all of these other additional effects onto Blaze Cannon, onto the one with the Sun God, and all this stuff, just to be able to make it feel like an anime effect. Now, my one point I do want to make is that you cannot fit all of the Winged Dragon of Ra's anime effects probably on the one card. Maybe you can. It's going to be microscopic, and it's just going to be a nightmare to try to read and try to do rulings and stuff. Possibly rulings maybe wouldn't be that hard because it's just like unaffected by card effects, can't respond, all this kind of stuff. But in general, it just would have been nice to have had a few extra things included and possibly even have pulled back some of the restrictions. Now, maybe Konami was a little bit wary that this wouldn't work, but the amount of support that they've had to add into the game in order to keep the God cards like relevant, and not even like they're not even relevant to this day, and they have such absurd powerful cards. But all of these cards that they get are mainly for what they can do once they're on the field. There's a very few cards like Ancient Chant, which can help search for the Winged Dragon of Ra. And then you have Thunderspeed Summon, which is a really, really nice tactic, actually, with like the new, the Arcana Knight, or the Poker Knight support that we got last summer in King's Court. Helps you to summon out any level 10 monsters. So it's a really easy way to get out like Ra Sphere mode, or just to get out Slifer or Ra. You can do Obelisk, but I just probably wouldn't recommend using Obelisk in that deck. It just doesn't synergize as well. But overall, I just think that like if Konami would have been able to just sort of compress some of these effects, it would have been probably really hard back in 2010 for them to make a card that said like this card is unaffected by card effects just in general. But you know, we still did end up getting stuff like Ultimate Falcon. And for the last 2 years, we've been putting up with Red Eyes Dark Dragoon until the recent banning of Anaconda. There have just been a ton of really big boss monsters. Obviously, we had Towers back around whenever 2014, whenever Cleforts came out, and Masterpiece, all that stuff. Now, some of those cards have spent their time on the ban list or around it, near it. Obviously, Dragoon and Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer ended up getting Anaconda banned and stuff, so there are sort of some repercussions there. But still, even if these cards would have been a problem being unaffected by card effects, I could have still seen them like being limited, and that would have still been fine. You could even add in these cards, you know, later through the years where maybe the God cards would have not been performing as well. They would have been power crept a little bit by like huge big boards that they couldn't break. You know, you just have like, you just put out an Obelisk, and Obelisk has to face down like Borrelsword Dragon and Borreload Savage Dragon, all these big things, all these big boards that we were putting up back in 2019 and whatnot. You know, that would have been a lot harder, and then that's when you could have added in some of these searcher cards like Ancient Chant. So now I kind of want to regress back to what I was saying earlier about how I think that there was a time for these cards to end up getting errated, and Konami has definitely missed it. It would have been probably okay if they would have printed these off right from the bat with their anime effects. You know, Ra definitely got the short end of the stick, having the fact that Ra was in the anime was like this big powerful creature, like you couldn't take it down, and it was just by like Yugi's skill and his heart in the cards that he was able to use his Slifer to be able to get around the Winged Dragon of Ra and ultimately defeat Merrick, and obviously having the help of Kaiba's Obelisk the Tormentor, which he took from him earlier in the tournament. definitely did help him. And please don't take this as me being a huge anime fanboy. I know that there's a lot of hate for that stuff. There's people who are hard into the game, people who are hard into the anime, and I'm right there in the middle. Definitely, probably even more hard into the card game now that I started the YouTube channel and started going to more and more regionals and stuff like that. But always was a big fan of the anime. So this isn't me trying to sort of trying to get into like the fact that we need this to be just like the anime, but I mean from a marketing standpoint, Konami, like the God cards are, I mean, they are their ace in the hole. Like we talk about how like the Blue Eyes White Dragon and Dark Magician Girl and all that stuff are like our big attraction cards, like compared to Pokemon, how they have Charizard, Pikachu, and all that stuff. But the God cards, they are just as iconic to be, to argue. They haven't seen as much in the competitive scene as what maybe like Blue Eyes has had. Like Blue Eyes had a good stint back in the day. But overall, like the Egyptian God cards, they are popular. Like you just cannot deny that. And I think that it would have been a very smart decision by Konami to have had like a reprint set maybe around that 2015 era or something, and they would have reprinted these cards. So again, I think that there was a window and Konami totally missed it. I think that the window for them to have done the reprints and done an errata would have been right before the new Raw support, which we got back in 2020, I believe it was, in the fall when we got Rage of Raw. And then about 10 months later, we ended up getting the structure decks for Slifer and Obelisk, they were very good support. But again, they just continue with adding in support, which just makes them closer to the anime. And the reason why this is a big problem is because of the fact that you have to allocate so many resources into summoning these cards anyways. Now with the new Poker Night support, it's a lot easier because you do have the Joker Straight, which is going to allow you to get 3 free monsters on the board without using your normal summon, and then you can just find ways to search for Raw or Slifer or all that kind of stuff. But then there's still the added issue that you're just putting in a few of, again, the card advantage is getting slimmer because you're just using Joker Straight and discarding 1 card, I believe it is, to get that full combo going. But then you still need the resource to like search for your Raw, and then also to get that out onto the field. And then after that, once you have that out onto the field, then just to replicate their anime effects, you need to use stuff like Blaze Cannon, Ancient Chant, or not Ancient Chant anymore, but you have to use One with the Sun God. There's also the new trap card for Obelisk that I want to touch on, which was Soul Energy Max. And this card just does what Obelisk should have done. So with this card, while it's on the field, you tribute 2 face-up monsters to destroy as many monsters your opponent controls as possible, so Regeki effect, and then you burn your opponent for 4,000 damage. This is what Obelisk is supposed to do. He's supposed to be able to do that, and I don't believe anywhere in the anime there was any restrictions on him not being able to attack. I gotta refresh my memory because this is just an OCG card. So with the Soul Energy Max, inflict 4,000 damage, banish this from your graveyard. Yeah, so this card still technically lets you attack, I believe. So this is like your OTK button. The only problem is that it is a trap card. So with this card, you're not going to be able to just like totally, take out your opponent right away. But in general, Obelisk could have just had an effect that said, tribute 2 monsters, destroy all monsters that your opponent controls, and that's all he needed. Then you just attack regularly because there's no real evidence in the anime that it's burn damage that he's doing. It's actually just him attacking. At least that's how it always seemed to me. Like there's the kind of iconic duel where Seto summons out the Lord of D, and then he just uses like 2 Flute of the Summoning Dragons to be able to draw into, or to special summon out like 3 Blue Eyes, and then also 1 other monster, whatever was the 4th monster, tribute summoned for Obelisk, and then he was just able to sacrifice his last 2 Blue Eyes to be able to blow up the field, and then he just dealt 4,000 damage, which I just always inferred was him attacking directly for game because they only have 4,000 life points in the anime. So it was just kind of weird. I think that Konami just could have printed it that way. Also, Slifer got a slight nerf by the fact that it only does the attack reduction effect by monsters that are in attack position. I think that Slifer could have just been perfectly fine if it would have been attack or defense, and then it would have just been able to blow up like anything that comes out onto the field. Really good, solid floodgate, really cool. Honestly, I want to tease around with Slifer a little bit more because I think it is really, really cool just to be able to do that, to be able to get out Slifer and try to protect it. So I think that Konami, you know, if they would have just given Konami, or if Konami would have given all the God cards the same protection that they had given to Obelisk, where those cards can't be targeted, and then maybe if they would have added in some of the anime effects where it's like they can only be affected by monster effects that are also gods, that would have been really cool. You would have maybe seen a little bit more of a meta where you've got God deck against God deck, or there would have even been like relevance to being able to side deck. So like you always keep like 3 obelisks in your side deck. That way, in case your opponent happens to be playing a God deck, then bam, you just go into your 3 obelisks, try to get one of them out onto the field, and then you can just beat over. That would be really cool. And then the other way that they just totally nerfed Winged Dragon of Ra is just the fact that when it's tribute summoned, that it doesn't gain any of the attack for the tributes. That was a big reason why you didn't want to summon it back from the graveyard, and why the Winged Dragon of Ra says on its card effect that it can't be summoned from the graveyard, because always the added benefit was for tributing. So I believe with the Kings, Jack, and Queens Knights, they're like, what is it, 16, 15, and 19. So they're like 4,000, or let me double check what they are. I believe they're like close to 5,000. Yeah, so the attack on all of the Queen's Knight, Jack's Knight, and King's Knight, if you would distribute all of them together, equals to 5,000 attack, which is very respectable for the Winged Dragon of Ra. It also, you know, easily enough helps you to get over Obelisk. Say your opponent has Obelisk out on the field. Would have been really cool, like interactions where it's like you're playing Winged Dragon of Ra, but your opponent's playing Obelisk. Your opponent has Obelisk out, and you get the whole Jack's Knight combo going. Konami prints the Lucky or Joker straight and all that support, and then you're able to tribute summon for the Winged Dragon of Ra, 5,000 attack. That's really cool, really solid. And then you have the added benefit of not having to do the life point reduction effect, where you pay all but 100 life points, and then you increase the attack of the Winged Dragon of Ra. You get to just optionally not use that effect, and then you go ahead and use the effect of Ra to be able to pay 1,000 life points and destroy one monster on the field. Would have been really cool, but they sort of fumbled on that, and they made it so the Winged Dragon of Ra just can't do that. It just doesn't gain the attack when it is summoned. It doesn't have any inherent protection for destruction effects and all that stuff. So like Ra and Slifer just end up usually being weenies, which just end up getting destroyed by anything. So overall, I think this has kind of gone on long enough. I've kind of rambled and sort of bounced all around. Like I said, this is going to be unscripted and kind of go all over the place. But overall, sort of like closing up on my thoughts, I think Konami had a really good chance to be able to maybe errata these cards back when we were around that sort of middle ground between 2012 and like 2018, back when they just didn't have all this kind of support. And now maybe the support is too strong and too out there. But the main deficit to what this does is the fact that it's really hard to play extra engine pieces, and these cards just don't do enough on themselves, even with all of the ridiculous broken support. Like if you're using Ra to be able to destroy a whole bunch of stuff on your opponent's field using its effect where it can pay 1,000 life points, that's fine, but there's just other cards, but you just don't have the deck space anymore to be able to fill in those things like Regeki, Dark Ruler No More, all those board breaker cards. And I recently got a comment on my Dark Magician deck profile, as well as I believe I maybe got a comment on the Ghost Trick deck profile, which I did a while ago, which both of those decks really don't play any hand traps, especially the Ghost Trick one, because it has its own built-in hand traps with Ghost Trick Mary, Lantern, and all those stuff. But you're not playing those generic cards like Ash Blossom, Imperm, and all that stuff. And the reason that I always give in the comment section for that is because you just don't have room. And if you're playing one of these decks and you need to like break through your opponent's board, you have to play maybe those big board breaker cards. You got to find space for Dark Ruler No More and all that stuff. And just simply you have to let Ash Blossoms and all of those, like those small tedious impact moves, like those small really mechanical moves that you make to go like, okay, I need to save this Ash Blossom for my opponent's Stratos effect or something. You have to let all those go, and your opponent builds all their big boards, and then you have to try to bust through by using all of these other support cards, because they just end up filling up your deck. Because if you don't have those cards in your deck, you're just never going to see those cards. You're never going to see Ra or Slifer or Obelisk, and still we just don't have great ways to hardly even search for Obelisk and Slifer. So those are kind of my closing thoughts. I think that Konami maybe fumbled the Egyptian gods. They definitely did. But I think that they fumbled their second chance where they could have maybe errated these. You know, I think that they're a little too far down the rabbit hole to kind of go back, but there's always a chance. Konami can do whatever they want. We've seen, you know, this happen before with like cards that have been super crazy broken and then they end up just sort of washing away. Everyone wanted Zeus banned when it came out. Everybody wanted just a whole bunch of stuff. And there's argument where these, you know, if they do errata these eventually, then maybe it's fine. But I could still see there being problems with the Soul Energy Max and Obelisk having his updated effect. That could be a little bit wonky, but overall, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. I know that this went on a little bit longer than 10 minutes, but I think there's a lot to talk about here. There's just a lot of discussion. Again, let me know in the comments what you guys want to talk about for other discussion videos. I've got a few other things that I've been writing down for like the last couple months, and this has just been the first video that kind of came through the, you know, through the wagon. So I just thought this was an interesting topic. I thought it was kind of fun to thought experiment to just sort of think of how would the Yu-Gi-Oh meta look if these cards were in the game. And I really don't think that they would totally impact the meta, but it would still be really cool to sort of see how the game would change, how like the casual players would sort of look at the game if, you know, these cards were readily available to be able to play at a decently competitive setting. Like if you were able to go to locals and play with like a raw deck, would that maybe bring in more people? You know, kind of an interesting thing to think about. So let me know down in the comment section what you guys think. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already for more videos like this, more deck profiles and all that sort of stuff. So know this was a longer video, so I think we're going to end it here. Thanks guys for watching. Peace.